Welcome back to Wind Down with Kev. It's been a minute, but we're back. It's been a busy year. I became a business coach with Craig Wiggins Coaching. I published a book with JM Publishing, and I became a best-selling author. Definitely didn't see that one coming. I've been running around the country, speaking, traveling, and enjoying every minute. But now it's time to get back to podcasting. This is my favorite format for sharing amazing conversations with incredible people. Welcome to Season 4, Behind the Red Doors. Come on in, check it out. I have incredible guests lined up just for you.
First and foremost. So, everybody's talking about the story when they met Jermain in the books and everything. So, Jermain is like the Quincy Jones of books right now. I don't know if y'all really paying attention. He is the new Death Row. You know? He is the modern day Suge Knight when it comes to books. This guy just keeps putting out hits and hits and hits and hits. I myself have 2 books, courtesy of Jermain. I am a best-selling author because of Jermain. So both of my books went #1 in multiple different categories. And this guy, man, I know Jermain for probably like 7, 8, 9 years now. And this has been my brother before I was even MG the mortgage guy. I was Matthew Garland when we met. And he's been just A1 from day one. And he's a solid dude. And if you have the pleasure of sitting with him and speaking with him, and if you have intellectual property, I definitely advise anyone to sit here and talk with him because he'll definitely take what's in your brain and put it on paper, and it will impact future generations. So, Jermain Miller, without further ado, come to the stage. Suge Knight, aka Diddy. Can't stop, won't stop. All right, so I'm supposed to interview my guy Jermain. So where do we start, Jermain? Where do we start? First of all, what made you, you're super annoying sometimes with the book thing. So I'm gonna have to piggyback on what Lindsay said, right? This guy hounded me for years about a book. Like, Matt, you need a book. I said, Jermain, what do I need a book for, bro? Like, I don't even read books like that. Like, I'm on audiobooks, I'm on YouTube. Like, I don't really need a book. He's like, I'm telling you, you need a book. And the book changed my life. Right? Because I can't tell you how many people come up to me, no matter where I'm at. I was in Toronto, and people running on me with my book. That information can't help them in Toronto. But they have the book, and then they have pens. And it's like they know they're gonna see me, and I sign it. So that's impactful. It's not influence, it's influential. And without Jermain, I couldn't be able to do that. So my first question to you is, what made you want to get into writing books or even putting out your own books?
I appreciate that, MG. My mentor, Mr. Les Brown. Anybody know Les Brown? When I first met him a few years ago, the first thing he said to me after an event, he looked me in my face and he said, Jermain, where's your book? I was like, what?
That's where you got it from?
That's where I got it from. And so I looked at him and I said, I don't have a book. He said, if you're gonna be speaking and teaching across the country, you have to be able to leave your story behind. So wow, he said, I'll give you a little bit more motivation. I'll write the foreword for your book if you write your book. Wow. I said, okay, a little bit of a challenge. So it took me 2 years to put this book together. Wake Up and Win is my first book, and my sons are here tonight. They're my assistants. I got 3 books over there with me, and they have to sell those books tonight so that they can get some money for Roblox. Go see that. And so I started writing this book. It took me 2 years. I had no concept of writing a book. All I knew is Les Brown motivated me to write a book. And so I started looking for publishing companies, asked a few friends. They didn't really know what was going on. I got a referral for someone who I really trusted to help me write this book. So I'm going through the process, and when it was came down to me publishing the book, I started asking a lot of questions, just simple, basic questions that they didn't seem to know how to answer. So fast forward, I wound up stopping with that particular publishing company, went with another publishing company, and the next thing I knew, the guy called me and said, "Your book is on Amazon." And I said, "Wait, what?" I didn't tell anyone I was writing this book. No one knew I was writing this book. So I was basically selling my book out the trunk of my car. So it's interesting, and it comes full circle because Matthew did an event in his office, and I believe that was around the same time that I came out with Wake Up and Win, and Sabine was there. And I remember the story with Sabine, and I remember having another event, and Lindsay was there, and she supported that event too as well with my book. So that's how the early part of JM Publishing was established.
Okay, let's go. I remember that. So I had to go pick up the book. First of all, do you guys have the book?
Yeah.
No? You don't have the book? So you need to go get it because the Sons need Roblox money. Whoever doesn't have the book, please support the Sons. It's not about him, okay? But it's also a good book. Wake Up and Win. Tell us about this book, Jermain. What does Wake Up and Win mean to you?
One of the most powerful things that I realized in my personal development journey over the years is that we get in life what we don't want because we never decide what it is that we do want. We only decide what we do want after what we don't want appears. And then we spend the rest of our life going after the things that we don't want. And so what was influential for me in that particular book is it was really influenced by most of my self-help motivational journey in my own life. The likes of Earl Nightingale, if you've ever heard The Stranger's Secret. I'll give you a little bit of a story about that. Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, all those guys that I studied for a whole bunch of years. And my own life story is actually wrapped in stories in that book, but you wouldn't have no idea. I'm talking about my adversity and my struggles and my things to overcome. So I took all of that intellectual property that you said, and I put that right in a book.
Okay. I like that. So, Wake Up and Win. That's selling. How long did it take you to write this? 2 years?
2 years.
2 years. Now, what steps, well, anybody out here is looking to write their first book, what steps would you give them to get out that mental block of not doing it and going out there and writing the book?
Well, it's interesting that you talked about the 2-year journey, right? So my first book I wrote 2 years. Second book I wrote during COVID, Wake Up and Live, which is the second book to this, in 6 days. I wrote my third book, Unshakable Focus, in 3 days, and I wrote my last book in 2 weeks. And one of the things that I realized in this journey is if you tell yourself it's gonna take 2 years to write a book, it's gonna take 2 years to write a book. If you tell yourself it's gonna take 30 days to write a book, it's gonna take 30 days to write the book. So the steps that I always tell any person who's thinking about writing a book is what exactly do you wanna write about? Because once you identify what it is that you wanna write about, and then you know exactly who your audience is that you wanna get the book out, then you can give them the information that they're looking for. I think one of the biggest challenges is that we look at, this is something I actually was just talking about today, is we all feel that we want to be New York Times best-selling authors. And now I can say that is a possibility, but as an author or as a new writer, we think that we have to write that way. So because I can't write that way, I'm not gonna write. I'm almost comparing myself. And the thing about that is you're not gonna write as a New York Times best-selling author, but the editors will get you there. So once you understand that concept, you'll come with your mess and we'll turn it into your message, and then we'll turn your message into money.
Message into money. I like how that sounds. Wake up and get out your own way, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so you mentioned about the editing. So we moving into a different world with AI and all the technology. So how does AI with ChatGPT and things of that nature play a part with helping folks writing a book? And how does having someone like yourself still edit work into conjunction with that?
Publishing a book is a really huge process, and while ChatGPT is, I believe, it's phenomenal, it still is pretty limited. Why? Because it doesn't really capture your life story. It'll give you an outline, it'll give you some things to think about, but in terms of your actual adversity that you had to overcome to get to your prosperity, right? It can't actually articulate that. So when you can sit down and get a book out in, 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, an hour or whatever, you still have to know who your audience is. You still have to make sure you're able to give this book to the audience. And then you have to understand that you have to build the community for the audience as well. So you can have a book, the book could be done, but if you have nobody to sell it to, you might as well just keep that in the closet, right?
If you have nobody to sell it to. All right, so how do we capture an audience, right? Because I'm not an author, I have no clue how to write books. You kind of, took us in here and put it on paper, but for those folks who may not have, a social media following like myself, how do you recommend them to build up a following to kind of engage their audience to now prepare them to purchase a book?
I think that's a phenomenal question, and I think we can actually all learn from you. And the reason why is we have to understand that we have to build a community of people who know exactly what it is that we do. And most people, I believe someone say this a little earlier, that people do business with the people that they know, love, and trust, right? So if you're already in the field, and this is one of the reasons why I told Sabine, write about what it is that she's doing, because listen, to be really honest with you, everyone comes up to me and they want to talk about their life history and their life story. And let me be honest with you, most people really don't care about your story. They're just glad that it didn't happen to them, right? So in order to really capitalize off of a book, you have to know exactly who you're marketing to, and that community have to already be primed for you to drop it in there. So for example, we'll take MG. MG has webinars and seminars and courses and programs. So by the time MG drops a book into this following, they know, love, and trust him. So all he has to say is, I have a new book coming out, and guess what? The people support him. Now, if you don't have this community, we highly recommend that you build that community so that you don't start the process of, like I did, selling your books out of the trunk of your car.
It's not a bad start, though.
No, it's not.
Not a bad start. You got to hustle. Now, all right, let's talk some money. Because everybody here likes money, correct?
Yes.
So a book costs, 20 bucks, 30 bucks. How many ways can we monetize a book and make some money, bro? Because we got kids to feed.
No, absolutely. By the way, all three of my sons want Roblox tonight, so.
Buy the books.
So there are many ways to actually earn income from the book, but people are talking about you can make 6 figures from a book, make 7 figures from a book. That's not actually true. You don't make money from your book, but you make money from what you do with your book, right? So you have to understand that philosophy. So what does that mean? So we sit down with you from the onset to try to figure out which direction you want to go in. In that, we can actually guide you through the process of how you should be writing your book so that, one, you have courses, one, you have seminars and webinars. The next thing you want to be thinking about is coaching programs, small communities of people that would subscribe to what it is that you're talking about, your content, all of those different things. But in addition to something like Kevin Spann talked about, the Audible, right? Your YouTube, all of those things are things that we discuss in ways that you can create income from what you do with the book, not from the book itself.
Good answer. The book ain't gonna make you money. So I'm gonna attest to that, right? The book don't make you money. The book makes money, right? But it's not gonna make you rich. It's not going to make you seven figures. And I have a pretty decent size following, and the book moves. But what I had to do is, first of all, I'm going to tell you guys, if you ever try to launch a book, Amazon sucks to me. Now, Jermain was highly against me. I said, yo, bro, Amazon. I don't want to put none of my books on Amazon. But he said, no, keep it up there because people go with Amazon. Don't lose the platform. Who cares? But what I didn't like about Amazon is that you don't know who your customer is. Somebody can buy 50 books for you. You have no clue who that person is. You don't have any customer data. They pay you 2 months later. Which, three. It's three?
You get paid on the third month.
Wow, that's even worse, right? So after my first week of sales, I said, Jermain, okay, how much money did I make? So he sent me this report. I said, okay, this was the gross. He said, no, this is your cut. I said, so what was the gross? He said, well, they don't show us. So for me, I said, nah, chill. We're not doing this. We started a Shopify store. And we do our own fulfillment of the books. We found the printer, we print everything. And now we bundle the books up with different webinars, things of that nature. So now it forces people to actually buy the book. And that's how I was able to take my book sales to a different level. And it still sells on Amazon every single day without me even promoting it on Amazon. So if you're going to put out a book, I would highly advise everybody set up their own website, their own store with Shopify and all these different tools out there. It's very easy. Jermain has all the tools for anybody to set up their own play because you want to get paid every day. Somebody makes a transaction, Shopify pays me 24 to 48 hours, right? I don't have 3 months. My bills ain't gonna wait 3 months, right? So that's one gem that I wanted to give to you guys. But my question to you is, Jermain, next, how do we really take this book game to the next level with industry professionals? Because a lot of us have intellectual property, but for whatever reason, we're not on social media, we're not putting out our content, maybe our company has compliance rules. Like, so how do we take our professionals and get them to leverage that intellectual property to take their careers and their business and start thinking about themselves to go to the next level?
That's great. That was one of the challenges I believe me and Lindsay had. A lot of compliance issues that surrounds life insurance. So you have to be extremely delicate to what is being said, and it has to be almost like a blanket kind of scenario, right? Like it's you get it, but you don't want to go too deep in where they're combing through everything and taking everything out. So with that being said, I'm actually working on my 5th book right now, the Entrepreneur Author, and we'll be talking about how to take your business actually to the next level in that book. But for someone who is just starting out, this literally separates you. So I was having a conversation with some realtors today about that. So there's like 50,000 licensed realtors in the state of New York, something crazy of that number. So how do you separate yourself from everybody else who's in the field? Well, you do that by showing everyone that you're an expert in what you do. They said that there's a study that says that if you publish a book in your field, you're more reputable than someone who's gone to get their doctorate degree or who's a doctor or something like that. So how to separate yourself really is you, again, build your community of following apart from whatever it is that you do, compliance-wise, and drop everything in there.
Because you're a certified gem dropper. Do you have any last words that you want to say or something out of action right now that you want to give to our audience right now? What's your final thoughts?
I believe everyone has a story in them, right? It's interesting that how JM Publishing was established with people who I was already networking and people who I already knew. So when I was releasing all my own personal books and everybody was supporting me, I wanted to then go back to them and help them with the same thing that I was helped with. So for example, Kevin Spann, when we started talking about his project, and I think most of us we were always kind of like, I've been thinking about writing a book for 10 years, 5 years. How many people have been thinking about writing a book for the last 3 decades, right? So we always kind of been in that particular space. So I want to just kind of leave this with you. We all are experiencing some point of adversity in our life. And I always like to say that the things we go through in life is never about us, but it's about the people's lives will change because we overcame it, right? So with that being said, every one of you guys individually has a story to tell. This is one of the things that Les Brown said to me, and he changed my life. He said, Jermain, don't look to the right, don't look to the left, but focus on your dream and your goals, and the people that need to hear you will hear you, and they will follow you. So what I say, Matthew might say the exact same thing, but there's something that resonates with people from my voice that they follow me. Same thing with Matt. Matt may say the same exact thing that I'm saying, but people resonate with him. We both have the same message, but the followers like Matthew or the followers like me. So I want to leave you with, if you feel that you have a story, you do. And if there's something that you want to accomplish, you can. Do me a favor. Tonight, go over here on the side and make sure my sons get their Roblox this evening.
Hold on, one more thing though, because that was good. I like that, right? So if we want to work with you, right? If we wanted to hire you, JM Publishing, to put our vision, our intellectual property out there, how do we do that?
Yeah, so it's jmpublishingllc.com. We're JM Publishing LLC on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook. You can message me, Jermain, at jmpublishingllc.com. I'm very, very easy to find. You can reach out to any one of the authors that are here. If you need recommendation, I always like to work with referrals, so that's the best way to reach me.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Babyface, aka Jermain.